Hello, friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates for y'all. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I'll also be working on building up my forever world at the same time, so I hope you enjoy. Also, I'm currently only in Spotify's creator program, so watching on there would help me out a ton. Thank you so much for your support. Today's first story comes from the relationships subreddit. It was posted by whiteroseblackheart on September 27th, 2015, and was titled, Me, 22 female, with my boyfriend, 23 male, of 1 year. He's mad at me for leaving his birthday party early. First post, apologies for any grammar/spelling issues. And sorry for the wall of text. My boyfriend and I have been dating for a little over a year. I'm an introvert with a lot of anxiety problems. I'm seeing a therapist and I'm on medications, but some social situations are still really hard for me. My boyfriend is an extrovert and thrives on attention, so every now and then an issue arises because of our differences. I never ask him to avoid a situation for me. If he wants to hang out with his friends and I don't, I tell him, I'm not up for that today, but you should go see your friends. Then I usually get guilt tripped into going. If I still refuse, he'll tell them that he's not coming because of me. It really makes me upset because I am not keeping him from going. I love when he sees his friends. He comes back energized and in a really good mood. And usually, it gives me a little space for me to recharge, so I have better energy as well. So anyway, his birthday was on Wednesday, and his friend Scott's birthday was on Friday, so they decided to set up a bar crawl with their friends for Saturday so they could celebrate together. I'm not big on the bar scene. Alcohol and food is so expensive. I don't dance, I don't like the noise or the crowd. And I have been under a lot of stress with work and school and was looking forward to the weekend to relax. I expressed this to him and told him I'd rather if we could celebrate on our own by going to dinner before he goes out with his friends. I told him I don't want him to worry about me while he's enjoying his friends, and that if I went, I knew I wouldn't be the best company. He seemed bummed but said okay. Well, we went to dinner last night for his birthday, and during dinner, he brings up that I don't know many of his friends, and it's really important to him that I go and meet his friends because they give him a hard time for never bringing me around, and they keep telling him that I am being controlling because he always misses things when I don't want to go. I explained that I don't intend for him to miss things, and reminded him that I always tell him to go ahead, and I've never asked him to stay home. I told him that I am an introvert, and normally, by the weekend, I really need to charge my batteries, and that I know because he's an extrovert, he recharges by going out with people, and this way, we would both get what we want. And I admitted that I felt bad not really knowing his friends, but that it would be easier for me to meet 1 to 2 at a time in closer one-on-one scenarios than to meet 15 plus in a crowded bar. And I said maybe once I know them better, going out would be easier, but that I don't really like going out anyway, let alone when I'm surrounded by strangers. Well, he says that his friends never just hang out in small groups or one-on-one, and that they only ever go out because what the F are they going to do sitting around the house together? He says I need to stop being such a baby about it and meet his friends because it's really unfair that he never gets to do anything anymore. I really wanted him to have a good birthday celebration. I took him to a really nice restaurant, I bought him a bunch of things he wanted, and I didn't want this argument to ruin his day. I agreed I would join him for the bar crawl if it was so important to him. So we get there, and he goes up and is talking to like 6 of his friends, whom I've never met. And it's like he forgot I was there completely. After about 10 minutes of being ignored, I had to go up and introduce myself to everyone. And I come to find out there is no plan, and they don't even know that they want to start at this bar. They might walk somewhere else to start. Then his friend Neil, who I have met before, shows up, and I felt a little better. But it turns out Neil brought his underage, 17 female, girlfriend, who I haven't met before either, to a bar crawl. And they don't know what they're going to do with her. So Neil and my boyfriend tell me that she and I can go to a restaurant and bond while they drink. I told my boyfriend I was not comfortable with that, and I asked that he figure out what the plan is going to be. We'd already been standing outside for 45 minutes with me in super painful high heels. Was only planning on dinner, not schlepping from bar to bar. So he takes Neil, and they go in the bar to find the rest of his friends and sort out a plan so both Neil's girlfriend and I could be involved. He was gone for another 30 minutes. I was about to go in after him when he comes out, and he tastes/smells like he's been drinking the whole time. They bought me shots. I couldn't say no. I asked what was going on, and he said he still doesn't know, but that I should just go to the restaurant with Neil's girlfriend because they want to go to another bar in the area and go dancing, and he knows I don't want to dance. At this point, I'm an anxious wreck. I'm frustrated and confused and upset, and Neil's girlfriend is looking super slighted. I asked if she would rather just get a ride home than go sit around waiting for them, and she said yes. I told Neil and my boyfriend that we were going home, and they were both like, fine, bye, and went back in the bar. So I took Neil's girlfriend back to her house, and she thanked me and apologized. Apparently, Neil had told her they were doing a birthday dinner, not a bar crawl. I told her no worries and that I'm sorry they were both being dicks. And I went home. I texted my boyfriend to let him know I was safe and asked him to text when he got home so I'd know he got home okay. Instead, he texts me that I ruined his birthday party and he doesn't understand why I can't just have fun and go with the flow. I texted back and said we'll talk about it after we both get some sleep, but now I don't even know what to say to him. I'm hurt and upset, and I don't know if I'm just in the wrong here or if he effed up. I don't understand why he made such a big deal out of me coming if he was going to treat me like a third wheel, or why he tried to get me to babysit his friend's girlfriend if he wanted me to stay and hang out. I half wonder if he just wanted a ride from me, and that's why he would have been fine with me waiting around in a restaurant till he was ready to go home. Scaling Stories Corner. Nah, that's crazy disrespectful from that dude. This guy knows that OP is introverted and didn't want to go out for that bar crawl, but he still insisted and kept pressuring her to go out. I don't care if it's your birthday, but if you apply that much peer pressure to someone to do something they don't want to do, especially if that person is supposed to be your significant other, then you got to be more mindful about them and how they're feeling and make sure that they're okay throughout the night. And it also rubs me the wrong way that one of OP's boyfriend's reasonings for even dragging OP out there was supposedly to meet his friend group, right? He made a big deal about that because apparently they're allergic to hanging out in small groups or in a house setting. So OP meeting his friends and hopefully everyone getting along and creating bonds should have been an important part of the day, right? I mean, on top of his actual birthday celebration and whatnot. But you mean to tell me that this guy didn't even bother introducing OP to his friends? Like she says he just ignored her after they got to the place and she had to go introduce herself. So that tells me that he didn't actually care about OP meeting his friends and he was just trying to find any reason to use as a possible excuse to drag her outside. And dude, there's just so many things about this guy that I don't like. But him putting the blame on OP and telling his friends that she's the one not letting him hang out with them when he's the one deciding that is just straight up manipulative. I saw someone in a comment say that I should be more hesitant to call for breakups in situations because relationships are complex and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not really able to fully quote what was said off the top of my head, but basically I should be more hesitant to immediately call for a breakup. But it's so hard to do because I'm like imagining myself in these situations and I'm just like, would I really be okay with someone disrespecting the crap out of me like this? And the answer is just like straight up no. So like, yeah, I think OP should break up with this dude. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, your boyfriend is something of a dick. First, he pushes you to attend an event he knows you probably won't enjoy. Then, he wants you to babysit someone underage because they don't want to change the non-existent plans. Then, he says you ruined his party. You could do better. Really. OP says, I was going to try and defend him. He is a really great guy the rest of the time. It's just when it comes to outings that he gets like this. But the way you broke it down makes a lot of sense. He's coming over in a few hours to talk. I still don't know what to say, but I know I need to make it clear that this whole thing was seriously uncool. Slanted face emoji thingy. Commenter 2 says, quote, well, he says that his friends never just hang out in small groups or one-on-one and that they only ever go out because what the F are they going to do sitting around the house together, unquote. That is perhaps one of the most pathetic things I have heard a grown person say. If he cannot sustain friendships without frenzied activity, noise, and liquor, I doubt he can sustain a more intimate relationship any better. Oh wait, no doubt, he just proved he's not mature enough for an adult relationship. OP says, I'm thinking you might be right. He has a very black or white/all or nothing approach to life. Either everyone goes out or no one does. I've tried talking to him about it before, but he dismisses me and tells me that he knows how things work and that I'm too naive. It's looking like he's the one being childish though. Update 1 day later. So, boyfriend came over and we sort of talked. I say sort of because he had a major attitude the whole time and was really dismissive and generally crappy. We said hi, and I thanked him for coming over and said that last night was really bothering me. He said he was really annoyed and upset that I felt the need to leave his party instead of staying and celebrating when I had agreed to. So I said, I'm sorry you feel upset, but the original agreement was for us to have dinner together and you to spend time with your friends after. I wasn't comfortable going in the first place, and then when we got there, you didn't introduce me to anyone and spent an hour ignoring me to talk to everyone else and go do shots, while I waited with Neil's girlfriend outside for you to figure out a plan that could include her. You and Neil expected me to babysit his girlfriend once you realized she wouldn't be able to get into any of the bars. I don't know why he brought her, but it was tactless. And then it was even worse that you both wanted me to go sit in a restaurant for however long to keep her out of the way. How can I celebrate your birthday with you if I'm watching a 17-year-old somewhere other than where you are? He said I did fine introducing myself to people and that he just got excited to see his friends and forgot about me. Question mark, question mark, question mark. But that I don't need him right there next to me to have a conversation with people. And that the plan was for him and Neil to join us at the restaurant after an hour or so, which he never said and still isn't cool, in my opinion. I reminded him that everyone went inside, and he and Neil left me and Neil's girlfriend outside together, so how could I have talked to anyone anyway? He said I could have come inside and that Neil's girlfriend would have been fine being outside alone. I told him that was a really poor and unfair way to treat her and that she deserved better. And then he went off on me about how I started crap between her and Neil because they were fighting over text all night after we left. I said their fight is their business. He shouldn't have brought her and expected other people to look after her. He then accused me of just enjoying the drama and started on how he just wants to be able to see his friends without it being an issue. I told him he was the one who made it an issue and stated, for what has to be the billionth time, that just because he wants to go out doesn't mean I need to be there, and that he has to stop using me as an excuse for why he's not going out or not enjoying himself because I have literally never asked him to stay home when he's wanted to go out. He said that going out with huge groups of people is a big part of his life, and he's not going to give it up. I told him he doesn't have to give it up. I don't expect him to, but that I'm not comfortable with joining him, and it should be okay for me to enjoy a night to myself while he goes out with his friends. And then he asked what the point of being together is if I don't want to be a part of his life. And I told him I don't know anymore, that I did want to be a part of his life, but that life doesn't have to be either or, and he's the one who keeps excluding me from it when I don't act exactly like he wants me to. I reiterated that I would like to know his friends in a closer, more relaxed setting, and that I would be okay working up to bigger situations, but that, at the end of the day, I'm an introvert, and I'm never going to get the same rush that he does when we go out with a massive group. He kept bringing it around to the fact that he stays home for me, and that I need to reciprocate. I said again that I am willing to compromise and work up to going on bigger outings. He said that isn't good enough. Finally, I said, I'm sorry that things aren't good enough if they don't go exactly your way, but my thoughts and feelings and experiences are just as valid as yours. I've tried to compromise and be reasonable. I've tried to give you everything I can, but if we're a year in and it's not good enough and you don't feel like I'm a part of your life, maybe it's just not meant to be. And he got really cold and said, wow, that's how it's going to be? What the F ever? You're not worth it. I'm done. And he left. So I guess that's that then. ScalingStories Corner. So, yeah, okay. Besides the fact that OP's ex-boyfriend is a dick, like he's actually such a jerk of a person for how he neglected OP on the night out and even told OP that she messed up that night because she didn't choose to leave that poor 17-year-old girl alone by herself while everyone else partied. But him and OP are just not compatible as people. He's very extroverted and OP is introverted. And he was seeing it as him needing to trade away his happiness, that happiness being his desire to go out and spend time in a group environment because OP likes staying home. And so in his mind, he thinks that OP owes him because he does this, because he's supposedly sacrificing so much for OP. And that's just not really a healthy or fair mindset to have towards your significant other. And so they were just incompatible in my head. But yeah, literally him and his friend are so stupid anyway. I think I lost brain cells trying to comprehend what the Neil guy was trying to accomplish that night. Like, why bring your friend out or why bring your girlfriend out to a bar crawl when you know for a fact she can't get into any of the bars? And then there's not even a plan, but the guy told his girlfriend that it was a birthday celebration dinner. And dude, it's connecting. It's connecting. Like both OP's boyfriend and the guy, they share something in common. It's that they both told their girlfriends literally anything in order to get them outside to a place they don't even want to go to or can't get into. And then they don't care and they don't have any plans afterwards. They just want to drag them into the vicinity and then wing it. I think in their heads, it's not their problem if OP or the other girl is left confused. It's actually OP and the other girl's faults because they're not able to make the best out of a situation that they were randomly dragged into. And these people are just I can't. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "Wow, I feel bad for Neil's girlfriend. I'm glad in the days before I was legal to drink, my 21 plus friends were mindful of the fact that I couldn't get into bars. Regardless, congrats on losing the dead weight. Remember to block him on everything." OP says, "I felt really bad for her too. When my ex-boyfriend, that's weird to write, was like, 'You should have just come inside anyway.' I was like, 'Are you kidding me?' Like, this girl came out expecting to have fun and gets ditched by everyone because she's too young to be there? That's why I stayed outside with her and gave her a ride home. She didn't deserve any of it. Thanks. It kind of sucks right now. I hate how it ended, but it's better than letting it continue on like this." Commenter 2 says, "Just like it was your boyfriend's responsibility to include you, which he didn't, it was Neil's responsibility to include his young, underage girlfriend. Or stay outside with her if that's not a possibility, but not leave her completely on her own. I hope, for her sake, she takes this as a sign, just like you did, and ends the relationship. I worry that because she's younger and maybe not as experienced, she will take his crap. Poor girl." OP says, "Yeah, she told me in the car this isn't the first time he's done it, but I didn't really know what to say. I just told her I was sorry he acts that way. I feel like I missed an important opportunity to give her better advice. Sad face." OP says to another commenter, "He was thinking that they could just sneak her in. They forgot that, in the city, most places check ID at the door. She was super upset, and I felt so bad for her. I'm glad I took her home because I don't know what would have happened otherwise." OP later adds an edit to her post. "This blew up overnight. Thank you to everyone who is commenting in support of me. It's really helpful to feel like I made the right choices. This morning, I woke up to a bunch of texts from him trying to convince me I handled things badly, and I admit he almost succeeded. But reading all of your responses has helped me to see that this isn't the first time I've tried to compromise and been met with a brick wall. If it's his way or the highway, I'd rather take the highway." Okay, friends, so that concludes our first story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the relationships subreddit. It was posted by xfriendthrow1 on August 24th, 2016, and was titled, "My 21 male, best female friend, 20 female, has made friends with her teenage bully, 20 female, and I'm worried about her." This is a relatively new situation, but we have all known each other for years. My friend, who we will call Holly, and I were in the same classes at school for most of our school life, and we became friends because of it. Never been anything other than friends, as we just don't see each other that way. Holly was good friends with Laura from a young age. Laura and Holly, however, started changing. Laura was more of a chav, as it's called here in the UK, whilst Holly was still girly but more interested in rock music and stuff, closer to a scene type girl, but didn't really dress like that, if people get me. Laura and Holly fell out at about age 14/15 because Holly started dating a guy Laura fancied, so Laura mercilessly bullied her, stole her boyfriend, and, even when she stole her boyfriend, still taunted her. Holly was depressed at a young age because of it all, had to receive therapy, and ended up becoming anorexic because of it. Holly only really started recovering in the past 2 years, when she left for university and didn't have to put up with Laura and her friends anymore. The problem is, however, Holly has come back from her university town for the summer to our hometown, and she ended up going out with some friends for a birthday party, and Laura was invited, which she didn't realize. Apparently, they cleared the air and are now friends again. I warned Holly not to trust her, as she made her life hell for years, but she is a firm believer in people change, whilst I'm a bit less trusting. Holly must have told Laura my concerns because I got a message from Laura on Facebook saying I was jealous because I always fancied Holly and she was ditching me for her, which, to me, proves she hasn't changed, as her first thought was to send me a hateful message instead of actually addressing the previous issues between them. Adding to that, when I have seen and spoken to Laura in recent times, she hasn't seemed to have changed at all. So, what should I do, relationships? I'm not exactly sure why Holly wants to be friends with the girl who tortured her for so many years. Should I keep an eye on Holly to make sure she doesn't get depressed/bullied again? Or should I just stay out of it? Scaling Stories Corner. I am all for people changing and becoming a better person. But that doesn't mean the bullying a bully did can ever be erased. But if the bully did change as a person, and the person who was bullied is able to forgive that person, and they want to hold some sort of friendly relationship of sorts, then yeah, they can do that if they want to. But in this instance, I don't think that's the case. Like OP said, Laura instantly coming to him and taunting him and trying to get him to be emotional shows that she has not changed to be a better person. Since Holly is OP's best friend, if this was my best friend, I would screenshot the messages from Laura and show them to Holly. I would be like, hey, yo, I don't think she's actually changed. And I don't care that you told her about what I told you. Actually, low-key, I would kind of care, but like, I'm gonna say I don't care, you know? But yeah, I care about you, Holly, and don't want your life to be hard again because of this toxic piece of crap. We can talk about anything you're thinking about, just let me know. And then I would kind of just see how that goes. I would definitely not stay out of it and let my best friend potentially suffer though. Now, here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "You shouldn't do anything. You gave Holly your opinion about it, so now the ball's in her court." Commenter 2 says, "She's an adult. You said your piece, and now it's her decision. I would let it lie." Commenter 3 says, "They're adults, dude. Really none of your business. Go live your own life." OP says, "My problem is, Holly was suicidal over Laura and her friends from the ages of 14 to 18, and now she wants to be friends with her. I'm worried that Laura just wants to get her claws back into her and do it again, because she has done nothing worthwhile with her life, whilst Holly has gone to be a success story." Update 1 day later. Well, this had a quick solution, so I'm posting now before I go to bed, as it's nearly 2 a.m. here. Holly went to a pub with another of our friends, Niall, tonight. They decided at around midnight to come to my house since they'd been kicked out of the pub since it was closing time. Niall mentioned to me that Holly had brought up her weight, which was a signal that things were happening like I expected, but I kept my mouth shut. Holly then brought it up herself in her drunken state, about her weight and how she was fat again. I kept my cool but said, "It's funny that you haven't mentioned your weight in about 2 years, but now Laura's in your life again. You bring it up." She went quiet, and Niall asked her if Laura had mentioned her weight, to which she sheepishly answered, yes, too. Me and Niall had a long conversation with her, saying she can be friends with who she wants. She's an adult, but we worry that she's only been talking to Laura again for 3 or 4 days, and she's already brought her weight up. We reassured her she's not fat, and we said that, in our opinion, Laura is just trying to get back in her head again like she had at school. We told her it was up to her what she did, but to remind herself how happy she had been without Laura and the other bullies in her life. She told us she understood, and the reason she wanted to be friends with Laura is because she was her best childhood friend. I knew they were close as children, but didn't think they were best friends, and the little girl inside of her always wanted her best friend back. Me and Niall said sometimes people change, and they don't come back, and I told her I understood since my best childhood friend turned into a criminal, and I always wanted him to come back, but I had to accept he was a bad person now, and the person I loved as a brother is no longer there. She agreed and said it would only get worse if she kept talking to Laura, since the bullying had started already, and she was doing so well. TLDR, she decided we were right, and she's going back to no contact. Scaling Stories Corner. Wow, geez, dude, after reading the comments on the original post, I was just thinking like, really everyone? This is your best friend we're talking about. You're really just gonna be like she's an adult and can live her own life and not try to help at all? Like, I can understand if it's maybe like a friend of a friend or a distant friend or someone you're not particularly very close with, but like your best friend. Surely this is someone that is worth intervening a little bit for. No? Um, I'm glad OP and Niall were able to talk some sense into Holly, and I'm a bit sad for her that she was clinging onto the nostalgia and memories she had when she was still a little kid, and that led her to trying to open the door back up for Laura. But at least she knows now that Laura is a piece of crap person and won't interact with her anymore. Cause screw people like that, honestly. Now here are some of the top slash relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, sounds like you and Niall handled it well. F the people that tried to make you feel bad in the first thread. They'd already jumped to conclusions about you, and their minds weren't being changed. Very pathetic, to be honest. OP says, thanks. Yeah, I was getting annoyed that I was getting called all sorts when I was just concerned for my friend. Commenter 2 says, yeah, I'm not sure why people in the last thread seem to think it should be left alone. Bullying, especially by those who have inflicted as much mental damage as this one, is not something to be taken lightly. Props to you for checking up on it. Think of it this way, risk versus reward. On the one hand, she could remake a friend, which is fine and dandy. But fact is, unless they are someone exceptionally special to you, you will make new friends. People move on all the time in life and are forced to do it. And if you had grown up in a different town / went to a different school or whatnot, you could have had a totally different set of friends you still would love and care for just as much. On the negative side, the bullying could have sent your friend on a downward spiral once again. Generally, you never ever want to go back to a toxic relationship, even if people change. There is so much baggage and so many chances of things getting bad again. It's just never worth the risk. Hello. Okay, so real quick, I just wanted to say that my corner piece thoughts and opinions are before I check and read any comments from OP's post. And I just wanted to put that out there because I saw some people have said that I'm obviously reading the comments first and then making my opinion because they line up so well and other stuff. But nah, that's not true. Sometimes my opinion isn't in line with what the commenters are saying, and I don't really care if it lines up or not. It's just like, it's just opinions and thoughts. It's not really hard to think about a situation and be like, okay, what is the right thing or correct thing in my head, or if that was me in this situation, how would I feel, or what I do? Or at least it doesn't seem very hard. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to say that real quick. Okay, friends, so that concludes today's video. Leave a like and comment down below to let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.